Okay, so you should be able to hear me. Okay, so this is the question I came up with. Okay, wait, let me just turn this off actually. Off. Okay, cool. So f of x is equal to x cubed plus x squared minus 32x minus 60, right? So if this is the question we have and they ask you to calculate the x-intercepts of this function, what I would do is type this straight into your calculator. So go to mode 3 for table, then type this straight into your calculator. So alpha x cubed plus alpha x squared minus 32x minus 60. Okay, then you're going to hit equals, then g of x, you don't need anything. Then for your start, say -5, and for your end, say 5, and then your step, just say 1. Okay, then it's going to give you your table of values, basically. So look in the f of x column, and look for where it says 0. So in this case, it will be -5. So if f of -5, so where x is equal to -5, basically, you'll end up with 0. Okay, so I just want to check that to show you. So -5 cubed plus -5 squared minus 32 minus 5 minus 60. There we go. Okay, so if that's what we're looking at, so -5 cubed is going to give you -125 plus 25 minus 32 times -5 is going to give you plus 160 minus 60. Okay, so you can see here this and this will give you minus 100. Then you have the plus 160 minus 60. Then you'll obviously see this and this will give you what's that, 60 minus 60, which gives you 0, right? So wherever x is going to be equal to -5, we know that the function is going to be equal to 0, right? So what does that mean? Okay, well, if the x-coordinate is -5, the y-coordinate will be 0. So this is obviously one of your x-intercepts. So what does this actually mean in terms of us solving? That means that if x is equal to -5 is an x-intercept, that means that if you take the -5 to the other side, then you have x plus 5 is equal to 0. So that means that x plus 5 is a factor of f of x. Okay, so if it's a factor of f of x, that means we can actually write our equation as like this, basically. And then we're going to have an ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so now we need to solve for this, right? So if you think about, let's say y is equal to 8, okay? Then we figure out that, okay, if we divide 8 by 2, for example, we get 4 with no remainder, right? So that means that we can rewrite it as y is equal to 4 times 2, right? So that's essentially what we've done here. We've got our 2 brackets, okay, which is the same as these 2 brackets. That's basically all we've done. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of all this though, because it's not like fully relevant, but do you understand the whole factor thing? So that this x plus 5 is a factor of the function. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take all these values. Oh, you may have seen the answer there. But all these values, the plus 1, minus 32, minus 60, right? And we're going to put those into our synthetic division thingy thing. Okay, so we're going to have 1, minus 32, minus 60. Okay, which is that there. Okay, then we are dividing by -5. Why -5? Because this is -5. Our x value that we got is -5. So divide by -5. So this will always be 0. Okay, and then you're going to add down. So you're going to add 0 and 1 together to get you 1. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to multiply 1 with -5. And you're going to get -5, obviously. Then you're going to add these two together. So 1 plus -5 is going to give you -4, okay? Then you're going to multiply the -4 and the -5 together. And you're going to get plus 20. Okay, so plus 20 minus 32, well, negative 32 plus 20, because you add down, that's going to give you minus 12, okay? Then, again, then again, you're going to take this minus 12, multiply it by 5, okay? And then you're going to end up with plus 60. And then you get a 0 here. When you add the minus 60 plus the positive 60, you get 0. So this is your remainder, okay? So whenever you're doing questions like this, you'll always have a remainder of 0, okay? In the same way, if you take 8 divided by 2, you get, not divide sign, you're going to get 4 with 0 as a remainder, right? So that's the same thing that's happening here. You're just going to get 0 as a remainder, which tells you that you've got a perfect factor here. So we now have our values for this equation. So A is going to be 1, B is going to be minus 4, C is going to give you minus 12. So if we write that out, f of x is going to be equal to x plus 5, which is our first factor that we found. We got x squared minus 4x minus 12. Okay. Now, remember we said let f of x equal to 0. So over here we're going to have x plus 5. Then we're going to have x and an x. We open our two brackets. This, we end up getting a 2 and a 6. We're going to have the minus 6 and the plus 2. So then again, to always check your answer, this times that will be x squared. This times that, minus 6x. That times that, plus 2x. That times that, minus 12. So we know we end up with our x squared minus 4x minus 12, which is what we had here. So we know we're right. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of these funny lines here. There we go. Okay. So now, remember when we solving for an equation, if 5 times x is equal to 0, well, what is x then? X must then be 0, because 5 times 0 is 0, right? If you have x times y is equal to 0, that means that either x is equal to 0 or y is equal to 0 in order to give you a 0 over here. So if you've got an x plus 2 times a y, for example, and it's equal to 0, either the y must be equal to 0 or the x plus 2 must be equal to 0. So if x plus 2 is equal to 0, then x must be equal to minus 2, right? So that's basically this concept that we're using here. Okay. So let me just erase that. And then, yeah, so basically, that means that we have x is equal to negative 5, x is equal to negative 2, x is equal to 6. Those are going to be all your x-intercepts, with coordinates being negative 5, 0, negative 2, 0, and 6, 0. Okay, so those are your three x-intercepts. If you're wondering how I actually made the question, you can just basically make your own question like this. Minus 5? Yes, yeah. So you can basically just make your own factors like this and then just multiply it out, and then you'll get a function that you can then work with to like solve questions and stuff. So yeah, I hope this makes sense. Just with the synthetic division, remember if this is your synthetic division thingy, you always add downwards and you multiply across. Okay. So yeah, you add down and then you multiply across.